today's video, I'm going to be doing some breakfast meal prep ideas that have really helped me out in my first few months of postpartum. One of the things that was the hardest for me to navigate through postpartum was just feeding myself, and it still is. It's something I struggle with every day. And so I'm trying to get better at meal prepping, and I have really enjoyed these breakfast ideas. Breakfast is one of the most important ones for me to meal prep because I wake up and I'm already starving from a night of breastfeeding. Sometimes I even have to eat throughout the night with breastfeeding. It's just crazy how much extra calories I have to take in to be able to feed that little one. So breakfast meal prep has been super helpful for me because I can get up and I can just grab it out of the fridge or the freezer and just start eating while I'm playing with him because he is wide awake once the morning starts. He wants to be entertained and played with right away. So it's super nice when I can just start making my coffee and grab something out of the fridge and we can get to playing right away. So I thought that it would be helpful maybe for some other moms or even not moms, if you're working or anything like that, to be able to just grab something out of the fridge. So, the other thing that I wanted to mention was that I want to start doing something called Motivation Monday. My goal will be to post every other Monday in the mornings, maybe someday get up to every Monday, but for now, figuring out mom life, we'll start with every other Monday. So I want to start doing that and just kind of post some motivational videos on Monday mornings to kind of give you some ideas and some motivation to start your week. So I'll be doing meal preps and cleaning videos and things like that, whatever is kind of in my mind that week, and I hope that you'll follow along, and I hope that it will help some people out, and I think that it will motivate myself as well to try and motivate other people. So I'm going to start this out and we'll see where it goes, but I hope that you'll follow along, and I hope that you enjoyed today's video, and let's get started making some breakfast. For this video, I really wanted to focus on some super simple meal prep ideas. I really want it to be something that's helpful for moms out there when you're on the go, or if you want to be able to make it really fast, like while your kid is napping or anything like that. So I'm focusing on some super simple recipes, so this isn't going to be some big complicated recipe that you'll have to try and keep up with. So we're starting off with just simple breakfast burritos. I started out by making the bacon, and for this recipe I just did it in the oven because it's a lot easier. I normally prefer the taste and texture of it when it's made on the stove, but for breakfast burritos you're just throwing it in the burrito and you can't really tell the difference. So I put it in the oven and then I made the scrambled eggs while it was in the oven, and I like to add a little bit of oat milk to my eggs just to make them a little bit creamier. Once the eggs were all done, and while the bacon was still in the oven, I chopped up an onion because I really like onions in my breakfast burritos. This is something that's really awesome about this recipe is you can totally customize it to whatever you want. It's just a breakfast burrito, so you can put in whatever you want in there. You can do avocados or you can do a different kind of meat, whatever works for you. I really like having onions in there though, so I'm chopping up this onion and I'll throw that in there. I would just like to add that I don't normally chop onions while I'm holding Carter, but he was knocked out asleep on me, so I didn't really think that the onions were going to get to his eyes very much, and he was totally fine. So next I'm going to just be tearing up the bacon so that it's easy to put in the breakfast burrito. And then I'll just start adding all of the different elements into the burrito. And yes, I do like sour cream on my breakfast burritos. I know some people think that that's super weird, but I love sour cream in them, so I did that. And the only issue is that sometimes it can make it a little bit soggy when you're reheating it from being frozen. But what I did was I just put the microwave on the defrost setting and I flipped it over halfway through, and that seemed to really help with the sogginess. They weren't very soggy at all, so it works out. As you can see, I'm struggling to fold them a little bit. I am using gluten-free tortillas, and for some reason they're really good, but they just don't fold very well. So I did what I could with these gluten-free tortillas, but they're a little bit ugly. But hey, that's not the purpose of them. The purpose is for them to be super easy to grab out of the freezer. So I just rolled them up and there it is. Alright, the next recipe is overnight oats, and there are so many different recipes for this on Pinterest. There's so many different ingredients that you can add. I am doing one that was called Almond Joy overnight oats, and so it's kind of like, I don't know if you've ever had an Almond Joy candy bar, but it's like that. So you're going to add a half a cup of whatever your preferred milk is. I used oat milk for mine. And then a third of a cup of rolled oats. And I used gluten-free for mine, but you can obviously use whatever ones you want. Don't mind Carter in the background if you can hear the baby squealing. And then you're going to add a tablespoon of maple syrup, a tablespoon of almond butter, and then a tablespoon of unsweetened shredded coconut. And then as many chocolate chips as you want, you can add in there. The recipe calls for like 1 to 2 tablespoons, but I just kind of dumped some in there. Then you'll shake it all up and it goes in the fridge, and you can have it in there for up to or at least 4 hours or just overnight in the fridge. So this is right before I put it in the fridge, and then I'll show you right after as well. It kind of like hardens up together. And then I would suggest adding any of your toppings when you pull it out of the fridge so that the fruit and stuff doesn't get soggy. But you can put any kind of fruit in there. You can top it with almonds. You can put more coconut, more chocolate chips, whatever you want really. It's totally customizable, but they're really yummy. And you can also eat it warm or cold. So you can throw it in the microwave and then add your toppings, or you can just pull it straight out and eat it cold like I did. Next up, another super simple one. We're just gonna do some pancakes and sausage. I am honestly normally not a big fan of breakfast sausage. I can't stand the maple syrup breakfast sausage. Is anybody else not like that? I don't know why. I've just never been a huge like maple syrup lover. But recently I discovered that I do really like just the normal, like original breakfast sausage. And so that was a game changer for me for breakfast because now I can eat sausage, and that's such a good way to get some protein in the morning. So again, with this recipe, just keeping it super simple using a box mix, pancake mix. Anybody can do that. It doesn't take very long. You can see I've got Carter in my bouncer right here as I'm making everything, and don't worry, he's far enough away that the sausage grease, nothing was popping on him. It looks like he's closer than he is, but I've got him right there, and I was able to just go ahead and make the pancakes and sausage. I realized I had way too many of these sausages in this tiny little pan, and they were going to take forever to cook, so I ended up taking some out. And yes, that's me giving Carter a piece of tissue paper to play with. Other moms out there, you know, it's just whatever works. But I had to keep going and taking it out of his mouth because he kept trying to put it in his mouth. But he was very entertained. I'm using chocolate chips in my pancakes because I'm a sucker for chocolate in the mornings and all day really. I mean, who are we kidding? But if you wanted to fit some fruit into this breakfast meal, you could do blueberries in your pancakes, and that would be a perfect way to get some in there. If you don't have any containers like this that have like the little separator in them, they are so nice for meal prepping and being able to keep things separate. And I saw them at the dollar store the other day, so go check it out if you need some of these. Last but not least, I'm going to be making some banana bread, and as you can see, I have no shame in my box mix game. That was so lame. Anyways, I'm adding a full banana mashed into the box mix. The recipe on the box gives you the option to do this. I always do it because it adds a lot of like flavor to it. It makes it even more moist, and it's really good for you. So I am just mashing that up, and then I'm going to add it in, and then I just make it as the box tells you to, obviously. And this specific box mix is really good if you're gluten-free, or if you're not really. You can't tell it's gluten-free at all, but this one's really, really good. just for reference with how long these recipes are taking me, the banana bread has to be in the oven for about 50 minutes, and Carter took about a 45-minute nap, and this was ready, I would say probably 30 minutes after he got up from his nap. I only spent about 10, maybe 15 minutes mixing it up, and so then I had the rest of his nap with this already in the oven to just get done whatever I needed to get done, and then I pulled it out once he was up, and it was ready to go. Once the banana bread was done, I just cut each slice in half and added it to these little containers with dividers, and then I added some fruit, and I put some Cool Whip down the middle because I love dipping my fruit in Cool Whip. You could obviously dip it in Nutella or just not dip it in anything and just eat the fruit as it is as well. One thing I will say about this recipe is I did notice that keeping the banana bread in the fridge dried it out a little bit. And so I would suggest maybe plastic wrapping the banana bread and just keeping it out of the fridge and just prep your fruit ahead of time. And then you can just, grab a piece of banana bread with your fruit in the morning. I hope that you enjoyed this video and that it gave you some inspiration to meal prep your own breakfast. See you next time.